Hey everyone, Rapidfire Rachel here, coming at you from Atlanta, Georgia, and this is Meet the Pressers.
Woohoo!
Perfect.
That was perfect. It's like you've done this before.
Meet the Pressers with Matt Mallory and Klint Macro. Brought to you by Public Safety and Education and the Trigger Pressers Union.
This episode is brought to you by Sabre Red, pepper spray and safety products for all Americans. Next Level Training, makers of CERT training products. Mantis, Mantis X helps shooters suck less. Firearms Owners Against Crime Institute for Legal, Legislative, and Educational Action. Meet the Pressers is also supported by other shows, companies, and our Patreon members. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody, to Meet the Pressers. My name is Klint Macro, and this is my esteemed colleague, Matthew Mallory. Meet the Pressers is a safe place for trigger pressers to gather, congregate, and talk about guns and gear and training and Second Amendment issues and just all around having a good time being a responsible armed American enjoying our Second Amendment. Matt, would you do the honor of introducing our very special guest?
Most definitely. And what better way than to enjoy America than full auto? And we have Rapidfire Rachel with us today. Rachel, it's awesome having you on and talking about all the things you have going on and all the new endeavors.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on here. We've been talking about doing this for a while, so it's good to be here.
For sure. I think the last time we saw each other was at Eric's event, Iraq Veteran 8888.
Yeah, I think you're right.
In Georgia. So, and then right after that, you were talking about carrying on the Knob Creek history.
Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, Knob Creek was the largest machine gun shoot, I believe, in the world. They hosted it twice a year, every year for the last 50 years. And in 2021, they had their finale. So there's several of us that, well, myself, I only attended for the last 10 years, but there were several people that have been seeing each other since the beginning of that really didn't want to see that tradition end. So we wanted to do something that would at least carry on the spirit of that event, but also bring our own twist to it too. So all American.
I think Fallujah in 04 might have been more rounds fired, but that doesn't really count. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, true.
So now, you're I mean, I've been following you on Instagram for a while and see all the fun stuff you shoot and taking that marketing to a whole new level. How did it begin? How did you just get into guns and then eventually just become such a known person around the country, around the world?
So I quite literally grew up at the range. This has been something that's been part of my family's just fun of my family. My dad, it's really my dad's hobby, but growing up we were always out there with my dad, so it just kind of became something that we all did as a family. And then as I got older, he obviously let me shoot a few things that were a little more fun. He put a Thompson in my hand when I was some year in high school, and that's when Rapidfire Rachel was born.
Nice.
And then from there, in the marketing side of things, it was purely an accident. I didn't know that social media would pick up on it. I didn't know that people didn't get to handle weapons like that. And so it was kind of like an eye-opener for me, but also a really cool opportunity.
Sure. That's cool. Now, does your family have an FFL, a gun store, or just they like guns? Okay.
Yeah, we have an FFL and SOT. So we do a little bit of side projects with that. And then up until 2020, my dad was working full-time as an engineer. So now we're kind of shifting focus and doing the FFL SOT stuff together, which is, we've got a shop we're working on here beginning in June. So that's going to be one of our projects this year.
Very cool. Yeah, I just got my SOT. So I've got a Type 7 Class 2. I just got my SOT in December. Haven't really done anything with it, but I figured might as well jump in the game.
Yeah, yeah, it sure helps with the waiting process.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a badge, but I don't really like to do anything on my, on my badge. So I'd rather just do it via the FFL and handle it that way. And I wore one of Klint and I's shirts here we created in honor of you. So
Oh,
I love
I
my
need one of those.
fully semi-automatic
Shoot your
assault
eye
rifle.
out, kid.
Don't shoot your eye out.
That's awesome.
So I saw
Cool.
a picture of you on your YouTube channel shooting the flamethrower.
Oh yeah.
So what's the coolest thing that you caught fire with the flamethrower?
Oh, okay. So coolest thing I've caught fire with. I mean, there's been a couple of shoots where we caught cars on fire, which was really interesting.
Mhm.
Obviously they had like the fuel tanks drained and everything, so that wasn't a concern. But surprise, surprise, airbags explode. It was kind of interesting. We tried to burn down a ballistic dummy dummy. That was really interesting too. And what else? I did almost catch the woods on fire one time. But sparklers and peeps are my two videos I have on YouTube, how many sparklers we could light. And then we had a peep meltdown. I'm almost convinced that peeps are indestructible. We don't have to get into
peep,
that.
yeah.
That's
Little peeps, yeah.
That's why I have
Yeah.
such a stomach ache after eating Peeps.
Yeah,
Look,
that's like eating styrofoam.
Right.
I'm convinced that they
I picked
are.
up-
I'm convinced they're indestructible. I'm also convinced that they're like the ultimate apocalypse food. But also they are the napalm of snacks. So if you set them on fire and toss them at somebody, it's going to adhere to them, and you're not going to be able to get that off.
Ooh.
So it's a
No, that's
multi-purpose
no
and
good.
survival tool. Got it.
Yeah, you can use it for a lot of things in survival.
Yeah, I picked up one of those flamethrowers. I was teaching a class at a range up in where the hell was I? I was in Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Mm.
And while I was there, the owner came over and said, "Hey, anything you want, you can get it for cost." I'm like,
Oh.
cost? I looked
Flamethrower.
around and he had a really nice selection of stuff, but it was like I didn't want to ask for that favor. And then over in the corner there, I saw the flamethrower, and I'm like, I always wanted one of them, but I don't think I would actually pay for full price for it, but cost. And I asked him what the cost was. I'm like, let's do it. So
Nice.
I was all set to have my son and I melt all the snow in our driveway. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it didn't snow again to where I needed to use it yet. So I haven't run it yet, but I'm trying to think of something cool that I can burn down with it.
You should have came up here, Klint. You could have stayed up here in New York. I would have gladly let you melt any snow you wanted to here.
Oh yeah, well you had a fair bit more than I did in Pennsylvania.
That was the
Just
funniest
invite
thing.
everyone- Oh, sorry.
That's all right. Go ahead, Rachel.
I was gonna say, just invite everyone over for a picnic or a bonfire or something. There's really no bad excuse to use a flamethrower.
Christmas in July.
Yeah, it's funny you
Or wait,
said
July
shooting
and
a car.
Christmas.
There was an elected official in our state that would run a machine gun shoot once a year, a very pro-gun individual, and he's since passed, but he shot a car with a 50 cal that had a 5-gallon bucket of tannerite in it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it was
Wow.
a mess. A
And
mess.
it was.
That's-
Kaboom! Yeah, yeah.
That reminds me of the person that shot the
Jeff
lawnmower.
Pyle, Representative Jeff Pyle. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that reminds me of the guy who shot the lawnmower, or the other guy that shot the refrigerator with tannerite in it. You see those videos? Jeez. You lose
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people did.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, what kind of things for the? So you call it the American, Great American? Remind me.
All-American machine gun.
All-American.
Yeah.
So the All-American machine gun shoot. What kind of things could somebody be? Is it open to the public, or is it only open for? Go ahead.
Yeah, so this past year we had our first annual All-American Machine Gun Shoot and Gun Show. It is open to the public. We have, very similar to Knob Creek, we have a machine gunners line, and those spots are bought out by individuals so that they can bring out part of their collections and shoot various targets downrange. But different than Knob Creek, because Knob Creek was really more of a spectators event. If you weren't on that main firing line, or you weren't competing in a competition or doing some sort of rentals, because there was usually rentals, then there wasn't much for you to do other than shop the pole barn, but that was a whole experience of itself. So we have that same firing line or similar firing line. We also had a tent that we set up, so pole barn scenario. And then we got to bring in, because there was enough space, we got to bring in different companies like Glock, Barrett, Rugged Suppressors, LMT Defense.
Nice.
We did have a rentals company out there. They were amazing. So pretty much anything you saw on that main firing line, you could rent. But all those companies had different things set up. We also had a local group of youth shooters out there that were running competitions. So it was
Wow.
really cool. There was a lot for people to do and get their hands on and try, which to me is what I want. I want more people to get this experience. And we really accomplished that. So I'm looking forward to the next one. I will say we are not going to have one this fall. I'm looking for a new location, and I really want to take the time to find one that is just better suited for what we're trying to do. So we're looking at fall 2024 for our next event, and really hoping to make it a lot bigger even than this past year.
Well, I mean, having that forethought to know that the current location just isn't going to do what you want it to and grow, then I mean, that's smart. Better than getting stuck in a location like that and not being able to grow to what you want it to be. So kudos to you for taking a break, because I know that's not an
I
easy
suppose
thing.
with all the class 3 stuff going on, there's limitations on where you could hold this. Is that correct to say?
Yes, yeah, we need a place that can obviously contain, because what they're shooting goes the distance. So just having the right backstop, having the right location that doesn't have close neighbors. There's a lot obviously that goes into it, and I'm working with a lot of guys that are very familiar with this, so they're helping me look at the map. We hosted it at the Sawmill this past year, and I'm so glad we did, because Matt and Steve, I would not have been able to do it without the guys at the Sawmill, but we both talked about it and we're like, yeah, we really can't do this here again. So looking for a new spot, but couldn't say better things about them and their location. It's a beautiful range.
Super. Awesome.
So people can register to come and shoot. There is some competition involved with some of the like classes, or how do you work that out? Like, let's say I have a belt fed 1919 and I want to come to this event.
So, and that if you have something that you want to have out on the line, you would book that through us. And last year we had 5-foot spaces that people set up for the whole weekend. So that's like a very controlled area. Public can't access that, but they can see it. So that's where spectators can kind of watch and engage with people out there, but all of that is not open to the public. Now we did have a subgun fun run that was out there. So if you had something that you could use in that, then you're welcome to bring that. We do require pre-registration for that. And then everything else was on site. So the rentals, obviously they're there to rent. Glock, Rugged, LMT Defense, they brought their own weapons for people to try. And yeah, that's kind of how it was run.
Did you find there were a lot of people?
Mix.
Did you find there were a lot of like people that traveled there to do it who weren't necessarily from the United States, but just wanted to come here to shoot guns, and this was an opportunity to shoot stuff that they'd never get a chance to?
So for this first year, we had quite a few obstacles leading up to it. Obviously, there were several people that didn't even know about it until a couple weeks before. I know we had people from Wisconsin and somebody from, I believe, Mississippi they were there at like 4 a.m. waiting outside. So we did have a line coming in, but it wasn't quite Knob Creek size yet. But I know for other shooting events like this, they definitely draw a crowd that's international.
Yeah, it'll get there. It'll
get
there. I had just recently co-hosted the Gunmakers match. In Pittsburgh with Pitt Careman Roville Sportsman's Club. They came in and Guns for Everybody was the main body that put that on. And it was really interesting to see people come from all over the country that are so passionate about gun building and gun making. And yeah, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Washington State. You came all the way to Pittsburgh from Washington State. That's pretty cool. So I don't think there was anyone at that one that was from out of the country, but having done like the NRA World Shooting Championship and other things like that in the past, I got to befriend a guy from South Africa, and his vacation every year was to come to the United States and go do the NRA World Shooting Championship, because he got to shoot things that he wouldn't be able to do back home. So it'll get there.
That's awesome.
So what is other than a flamethrower, what is the coolest gun that you have or that you've shot?
That is such a hard question, because I have honestly gotten to shoot a lot of really cool things. Flamethrowers are special to me. I actually have 4, and I think I have a collection of flamethrowers at this point. I have 4 of them, all different, but I love them all.
I need to get me.
hard to pick. I there's nothing in this world that feels like a Modus as far as shooting. The closest thing to like a space gun feeling thing would be a minigun. You're literally just pushing a button and it's like
like a Dylan, like that.
Crazy. Yep. Yeah, there's nothing like the roar of that. I'll always have a special place in my heart for a Thompson, just because that was the first machine gun I ever did shoot. I see that in the background.
I couldn't believe how heavy the Thompson was the first time I got a chance to shoot one.
The first
my
time
dear friend.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. My go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. My dear friend in Hollywood, I used to work in Hollywood. He was an armorer, so he had a lot of stuff that, kind of like Matt being a badge in law enforcement, you're able to do all kinds of stuff that the average citizen can't. Well, in Hollywood, if you're in that industry and an armorer, you can do a whole lot of stuff that most people can't. So he had a lot of full auto stuff that he would use in the films. Nice. And so I got to shoot the Thompson was one of the ones I got to shoot, and it was like, wow, there's a reason that pistol grip is on the front, because it likes to go boop like that. Yeah. But it weighs a ton.
Yeah.
So, but you like the Thompson, huh?
I love the Thompson. Once you get that breakdown position locked in right, you can really control that recoil, but it is definitely heavy. I was going to say, I knew it was a little heavy just from like, obviously dumping drums or whatever, but we used it in a subgun match, and that was when I was like, oh shoot, this sucker is heavy. And that particular one, Knob Creek used to do the national subgun match, and that particular one was themed Star Wars. So the last shot of the match was a Death Star, and you not only had to hit the tiny hole on the Death Star, but it had to like flip around. So you had to get multiple rounds on this tiny spot. And it was a little challenging, but yeah, I was like, this is hard and this is very heavy.
Yeah, that was
$20. $20.
There's my life savings.
It was a little too fast.
Yeah. The Uzi's a fun one too. But I honestly, one of my and it tipped to the side. My 4570 revolver. That's like one of my favorite handguns, at least.
I think 4570 is probably my favorite caliber, just because it's something special. The Uzi, though, I typically compete with the Uzi when we do subgun matches. Yeah. I love the Uzi, and we've got the wooden stock on it, but I got it customized with a little bit of extra stock on the back, so it really is comfortable now for competitions.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta fix that BFR.
See, every time you look, I turn my head like I'm trying to see what you're on a flat screen here. I always do that. I just shot something completely opposite of what you guys are talking about.
Yeah.
I just picked up. Now it was a middle of the night in a hotel room. I travel a lot and teach, and so when I can't sleep, I just sit on Gunbroker and put bids on stuff, which is really not something that you should always do.
Right.
But I put a bid on something and I won, and it was a matchlock.
Oh. So
I got this really cool old matchlock, and it's basically like a pipe that you put on a 2x6, essentially. And it's got the serpentine and it's got the trigger bar. So this is where squeeze the trigger came from. You actually squeeze the whole trigger bar. And so the match with the rope in it goes, and then it touches into the priming pan. But I got to tell you, I don't know how those guys back in the day kept that rope burning. Because you can't have open flame, that's bad, but you got to keep it smoldering like a cigarette. But maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I needed to prepare the match separately or differently, but it was like trying to keep it going was tough, but it was a lot of fun. I got to I'll put a video of that on the end of this episode.
Awesome. So you're saying that if you were back in the day, you wouldn't be around today?
No, what I said in the video is if I was back in the day, I would have probably preferred to have a crossbow. Yeah,
those crossbows back then were rough. Yeah, those were as heavy as the Thompson. Cool. All right. So
what's the? All right, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, as far as like training and stuff. Do you teach classes? Do you travel and take a lot of classes, or what's your background as far as that, Rachel?
So I am constantly learning. I feel very confident that I can pick up just about anything as far as guns and figure it out. But I'm definitely not a master of anything except pretty good with subguns. I don't formally teach any classes, but we do regularly take people out and at least help them pick out concealed carry guns.
Nice.
We're at the point where we have just about every great option. So especially for folks from our church or friends, family, acquaintances of theirs, we'll take them out and at least let them try. I'm good at a basic one-on-one course, but I'm not a firearms instructor, so I haven't done any sort of teaching. But as much as I can learn, I'm learning. Last year, actually this week last year, I was out at oh no, I forgot the name of it, in Arizona, Prescott, Arizona, gun site.
Front sight.
Oh, guns.
Front sight. Gun sight.
I think gun site.
No, gun sight. Front sight is
Front sight is
Ignatius
Nevada.
Piazza in Vegas.
That's no longer around. Now it's Prairie Fire, I think, is the new place.
Oh,
Yeah, gun sight.
name.
Yeah, gun sight's
Anyway, I was at gun
pretty
site
impressive. Yeah.
for a reloaders course, which was really cool.
Nice.
They had an ultimate reloader out there, and then Frankfurt Arsenal, and I got to shoot out to 1,400 yards for the first time. And we were pinging little 3-inch steel at 1,400 yards, which I was very
Wow.
proud of, and it was with ammo reloaded.
Yeah.
So I think that was pretty cool. I still have my first casing from hitting that. So
That's
Yeah,
cool. A properly
yeah.
cooked up load is much better than anything you can buy from a factory. That's for
it
sure.
was. So at the beginning of the trip, it was kind of like, oh no, we're shooting stuff, we're loading, like hope this goes well. By the end of it, it's like, we trust somebody else to load our ammo all the time without any question. We just go to the store, grab it, and shoot it. And that almost feels a little more uncomfortable after taking that class. Not that I'm not going to continue to go buy ammo. That's a regular part of my week, but it's just kind of interesting to think about. Like, you always trust this, but I was nervous to trust my own, but afterwards, complete opposite.
Different perspective, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've taught the NRA's reloading instructor class and the student level class, and I've challenged people. Okay, now that you know how to weigh things and you know how to measure things, go take a box of factory defensive ammo and pull the bullets out of them and measure the depth and take a look at how inconsistent factory ammo is.
Yeah.
And I don't recommend carrying your own reloaded ammo for defensive
Definitely
ammo. There's good reasons to use factory ammo from a company that has has contracts and stuff with law enforcement. But a lot of times people, they poo-poo the reloaded ammo. And man, if you got a good quality control system set up in place and you're paying attention and you're methodical, reloaded ammo is much, much more consistent.
Yep.
That's for sure. So how much ammo do you shoot in a week typically?
It depends. It really just depends, because occasionally if I'm traveling, then that means not nearly as much. But like this past week, I know I put 102 rounds through. I just got a Hellcat, the Hellcat Pro with the manual safety.
Nice.
I put 102 rounds through that, and then we had Mother's Day at the range, so that was several hundred rounds for that. It really depends. A lot of ammo. We shoot a lot of ammo. It depends on if there's a project that we're filming or like trying to hit a certain amount, or if we just need like a mag dump on a Monday, and for reasons to get the stress out for the week. But yeah, it really just depends.
Stress reliever. Yeah, we was it the Hellcat that we did a review on at SHOT Show like 4 years ago when it first came out, right, Klint? Remember that?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of those on the range and they seem to run really reliably, but I remember the video. My first impression that I was like, something just felt weird about it. Like, felt like a snake ate a golf ball or something. It just had a weird feeling in my hand.
You have the smaller one? Just the regular Hellcat?
It might have been the regular. It was the initial one that they came out with at the time.
I think it was like 11 rounds or
yes, yep, 11.
Like okay,
it was an 11.
So this is the large. This is the Pro, so it's a little bit larger.
Okay.
And I watched a lot of people's videos about it before I had one. And I heard kind of like people didn't necessarily like it for them, but I was shocked. Like, I really liked it. Like I said, I put 102 rounds in it in like an hour, and I left thinking like, oh, I could easily put 1,000 rounds through that in a day and like still have like my hand wouldn't hurt like some of my other guns that are for concealed carry.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I was pretty impressed, but it also goes back to different people's hands fit things different.
Totally.
All of that kind of
that's
stuff.
absolutely it.
for sure.
Yeah, I mean it ran fine when we tried, but it just felt funny in my hand. It was kind of a funny look I gave the camera. But,
Yeah.
I just recently shot the SIG macro, and they still owe me money for stealing my name for that one.
Oh,
That one
really?
felt pretty good in the hand. I'm typically not a huge SIG fan personally, but that was like, eh. So I made a different look at the camera when I ran that one the first time. I was like,
Yeah.
eh.
Yeah,
I might even have made that sound.
I'm usually not a SIG person either. The 365 is probably the only one that I would carry. But the Hellcat, I just the thing I took away from it that I can remember from the review was it was just a very aggressive grip. So
Yeah.
I could tell the gun wasn't going to come out of my hands. It wasn't gonna shift and move. It was an aggressive grip.
Does that
You were
one have
triggered
the
by the
same?
grip's aggressiveness. I was snarky comment. Go ahead.
Yeah.
The floor is yours. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Does that one have the same texturing on it? Or do you know if it has the same texturing as the Pro?
I don't know. I just know that it
I'll
really
look at
felt like it was it was like I don't want to say sandpaper, but it felt it was really spiky. Like when I put my hand on it, it wasn't going to shift around in my hand at all. It's the only that's the
Yeah.
major thing I can remember.
I wonder if it's the same then, because I thought that too, and I was like, oh man, this is gonna eat my hand up. But my hand didn't move, so it
Yeah.
didn't eat my hand up. But also, it's hot in Georgia already, so
Mm,
for me, it was like, man, my hands are sweaty, but it's not moving. So this is pretty
Right.
cool.
yeah. Are you going to be at the Iraq Veteran Range Day again? IV88?
Yes, yeah, as
Nice.
long as they'll have us. That's one event that my dad and I do not miss.
Cool. Yeah, I've got another engagement that I'm debating. I'll probably go, but I was asked to speak at the New York Scope annual meeting. So go to Georgia and shoot and see my friends, or go to a political thing and speak. I'm like,
I mean, they might need you.
I
yeah.
thought like what are you doing, a speech on like mouthwash or something?
So Dan Was, I don't know if you know Dan Was. Good.
That wasn't even a funny joke. You should have laughed at that, or at least like rolled your eyes.
Yeah, it's late. Okay, I roll my eyes.
Yeah, okay.
Like
So the Scope event.
Yeah, so Dan Was put my name in the hat to speak because we spoke at another event together, and he liked the back and forth. So he said if you don't speak, I'm not gonna. So I'm like, do I really want to say that I'm not gonna speak because then he won't speak? So anyway, I'll probably go to Georgia.
Well, here's some advice. If you do, don't open up with "Listen here, f***ers." That's not a good way to start your conversation. I'll beat that when I put the episode out. Yeah, don't do that.
Oh goodness. All right, so what's on the agenda? How often do you guys record? How often do you put something together? How long do you storyboard and plan before you roll stuff out?
So not nearly enough. Some of my best ideas pop up like a day before I think the video needs to be posted. And then I'll go a little bit too long in between. The most consistent thing we do is a gun of the day. And that's just a photo. But for me, it's been really interesting because it's opened up conversation for people, whether they have some sort of sentimental attachment with an old firearm, or something that they're really interested in or want to know more about. It's been exposing people to things that aren't just pistols or ARs. So that's been really
interesting.
Cool. Yeah, we've been doing that for over a year now.
So with those in particular, what's the coolest story behind a gun that you've had the opportunity to get behind?
Behind. Oh man.
Like for instance, like this gun was in the war, or this gun was used by Audie Murphy to shoot Germans, or this gun was like. What's the coolest backstory to a particular gun?
I don't have all the stories on some of these, but we did get into somebody's collection that came into. Are y'all are familiar with Moss Pawn? You've been to Eric's. So, Moss Pawn got in a collection of like just all these old guns, like a ton of Derringers, a whole Smith and Wesson dating back to like Model 1s, just a bunch of crazy stuff. And the unfortunate part for my wallet is that some of those came home with me because I was like, I've never seen some of these in person, and they need to come home with me. They had two Chicago Palm pistols. They look protectors.
Yeah.
And they got the same squeeze bar thing. So there's a little trigger at the front, but you squeeze the whole handle.
Right.
So they had two of them. I've never seen one in real life. And one's a pearl grip. One's got the kind of charcoaly look up to it. But both of those came home with me. As far as cool stories,
What cartridges do those shoot?
32.
Can you get the ammo?
I was going to say
for
32.
those? I don't think you can get the ammo, but I think you can find components to load.
But even if you did that, do you really want to shoot something? I mean, what year is that?
Like 1898, 1889, something like that.
The metal's not going to be the same as it is these days. I mean,
So
Clint, you
if
like
I have to, I might shoot one.
yeah, from behind a plexiglass with a pull string, right? Or with
Something
a
like that.
one of those grippers you use to pick up garbage, right?
Yeah, we'll pull the
It's like
trigger like that. But I kind of want to, since I do have both. One, the pearl grip one, that is for looking at only.
Yeah.
But the other one, I think I might shoot.
Yeah, for
if
sure.
we can find it.
Mythbusters it. Do it.
I mean, they're so neat. I wish that we still had something similar to that, because it looks like a lady's compact or something. Like, you don't look at it and think, oh, that's a gun.
Wow.
I don't know.
I always thought they looked like a pitch pipe. You ever see like a pitch pipe that you
Yeah.
can play the notes?
Yeah.
That's what it kind of looks like.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does. But yeah, those are neat. But as
Yeah,
far as
those-
backstories on things, I don't know all the backstories, but some of the stuff in that collection was converted from something weird, and so it has a story. I wish I did know.
You know what I've always wanted to get my hands on is a grease gun.
Me too. That's a gun that I've seen several times, but I've never shot.
Yeah.
That's an M3, right? Was that the designation?
I don't
M3
remember.
Yes.
grease gun?
Is it M3?
Yeah.
That and a blunderbuss. Those are the two that I kind of want to have in my collection on the wall.
Maybe I can convince my dad to bring one of our blunderbusses to the
it.
shoot.
All right, now I got to come. Now I got to be there.
That's cool. You got to wear like a Puritan hat, like Thanksgiving hat.
Or you could
Buckle
go.
shoes if you're
You
gonna
could
shoot
do a tactical tricorn hat. You wanna
Yeah,
get weird.
Yeah, I've done that. I've got a lot of historical guns, and my son, he's 14. He's like, Dad, you need a hat to match the gun. So
He's right.
I've got a lot of hats and a lot of different guns, but yeah, I don't have the Puritan hat. I need to get one for that matchlock. Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Cool. Awesome.
Funny.
All right. Well, how can people find out more about you? What's the best way? Do you have a website, or is it just Instagram? What's the best way to track you down? I usually say stalk you, but I don't think that's appropriate. So
No, that's not appropriate.
So everything, on pretty much everything, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all of those things, Rapidfire Rachel, and then Instagram, Rachel B333. I am shadow banned as anything, so if you don't type in it exactly correct, then you will not find me. But
So speaking of TikTok, how is that working for you? Because I know we posted something. Well, I posted something on our channel, and they said that it goes against their community standards. It was Hump Day. It was for Valentine's Day, and I shot a camel with dragon's breath. Don't have dragon's breath on Hump Day. Valentine's Day, get it?
interesting. So they took it down like this past Valentine's Day?
Yeah, and I couldn't even appeal it. I tried to appeal it, but yet I shot a China balloon with dragon's breath, and they left that up. So I'm like, it's China. They should take that down.
Maybe they're trying not to look like too suspicious of who's really in charge. So I just recently started posting on TikTok again because I was getting violations every single time. And then I think it was just last month, April, I started posting again, and their guidelines have changed. So you can post firearms, but it has to be at a range or informational. It can't obviously be saying, go buy this today, any kind of selling, but you can post stuff that's informational or shooting at a safe range. So far I've gotten all of my appeals accepted, and I hope it keeps going like that, because I think there's a lot of cool stuff you could put on TikTok that is good information, because all the stuff that I looked up, like just Glock, and the amount of videos I saw that were definitely not safe or good information was kind of shocking. So I'm hoping that I can put some good stuff on there, and maybe some other folks that actually shoot and can share good information will get back on there.
Awesome. Yeah, it's all these platforms try to put everything up there and not get shadow banned and not get it, strike. It's kudos to you.
Yeah.
Frustrating for sure.
Instagram is the worst right now, honestly, but Facebook has been really good to me.
Yeah, I can't do anything on Facebook. They no.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm-
I've been okay on Facebook. I haven't had any real issues. But I want to say while we're on this topic, Matt, I want to thank you for posting all of the Meet the Presser stuff and sifting through all of these different media outlets, man. I greatly appreciate your work.
It's frustrating. Defeating in some cases.
It absolutely can be when you put in a lot of work on something and then nobody can see it.
Yeah.
It can kind of mess with your head a little bit.
Yeah,
But-
corporate censorship is definitely a thing, that's for sure.
Oh, 100%. And Instagram tells you straight up now, like, we're not letting anybody see your stuff.
Yeah,
They
I've
don't hide it.
No.
I've had problems with emails through Verizon and Comcast, and
Really?
I send them out. Nobody gets them. They bounce, and I send the same one out on a different email address. They get them. So because I have Trigger Pressers Union as my email address, corporate censorship is totally a thing. We had the same problem with our Second Amendment organization in Pennsylvania. Is called FOAC-IALEA, Firearms Owners Against Crime. And we had the same issue going on. And then, of course, we hired counsel. Josh Prince wrote a letter, and all of a sudden it got fixed, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, just all of a sudden it started working again. I don't know why.
Well, Rachel, it's been an awesome conversation. Appreciate you taking the time out and hanging out with us for a little bit. And I'll see you in October, I guess.
Well, you have to now because we're bringing a blunderbuss.
Blunderbuss.
Yeah, first, but
What do we get to put in it? Like, what do you put in the blunderbuss these days? Nails and screws and oh my.
anything, right? I mean, that's kind of the glory of it.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll talk to him and see if we can't do that.
Cool.
He's got a couple that he's been wanting to shoot, and we've been looking for the right time. We usually make our own fireworks on 4th of July, so now we could do it at Eric's movie. I think Eric would be down for it.
Heck yeah! I mean, didn't he? Minigun? No, I was gonna say a minigun there. He'll be down for it. I'll text him and say, "Be down for it, Eric."
Eric.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
It was great to meet you, and I appreciate you putting up with our banter. We like to talk on this show, and sometimes we talk over one another. But thanks for coming on.
Oh, that's okay. I love rambling, and that's actually what I'm about to do after this. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me on here. Maybe we can do this again.
Hello, this is Klint Macro with the Trigger Pressers Union. I just got this used off of Gunbroker. This is a Veteran Arms matchlock. It's a 74 caliber matchlock, and it's something that I've always wanted to get, and it's very, very, very cool. Here we go. Probably if I were in the infantry when this was the technology, I would have got a crossbow. But I know if I practice with this and become more well-rigged, I'll be able to run it more efficiently. But matchlock, pretty cool. There you go.
There's a lot of sponsors to make this show possible, like Mantis.
Make sure you check them out and give them your business.
This episode is brought to you by Saber Red, pepper spray and safety products for all Americans. Next Level Training, makers of CERT training products. Mantis, Mantis X helps shooters suck less. Firearms Owners Against Crime Institute for Legal, Legislative, and Educational Action. Meet the Pressers is also supported by other shows, companies, and our Patreon members. Thank you.
Thanks for watching or listening to our show.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share. Click that little bell thingy so you know when the next episode's uploaded. Support us on Patreon. Come to one of our classes. Host us to come to you and do one of our classes at your location.
And until next time,
Adieu.
Thank you for watching Meet the Pressers.